Hey solos! So this is a special Valentine's Day episode where I'm going to talk about solo travel and the five love languages and how going to Disney solo can really help you tap into self-love, five love languages. And I think that'll be really fun. Hey everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do, and welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. So in this episode, because it's Valentine's Day and I love a theme, I wanted to talk about like a romantic kind of love languages, self-love type of thing related to Disney World. And usually I start the episode by being like, oh, here's a question and here's a solo spoiler. But the thing is, your love language, the way that the love languages might manifest for you during your solo trip is different than the way they might manifest for my solo trip. And that's because we're different people and like you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. So I don't want to give you like a pat answer about how or in what ways you might experience the love languages while you're at Disney World. But I thought what I would do is I would share my own experiences and then it will inspire you to think of your own. Now we're in February. I hope you loved the conversation I had with the Dapper Danielle last week. And I want to remind you that if you go back to the archives from last February, I did episodes on Black History Month, like how to like see Black history around the Walt Disney World Resort. So go check that out. And I also did an episode that if you were doing like a semi-solo vacation with your romantic partner, like if they were there at a conference and you were just gonna like see them at night, what are some kind of romantic spots? So if you also love a good theme and you wanted to like pick up on the themes of Black History Month and Valentine's Day and things like that, go back to the archives. And like definitely just go back to the archives just generally. Like we have over 100 episodes and I'm trying to figure out a way to like best organize them for you. So I'm like adding onto content rather than duplicating content. But there we go. You can find me on Patreon. It is an inexpensive Patreon membership and you get reflections on all the episodes and also bonus episodes. So a bonus episode went out the beginning of February about the friends I've met along the way, which was kind of a nice way to summarize my 2025 trips. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. You can listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on all of those platforms. You don't need to pick just one. And it's also really awesome if you share this podcast with your friends and family and let them know that this is the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney. And it's also really useful if you're just planning like an adult-focused trip and you're not bringing the kids. And like what are some things that you're going to do and all that stuff. So next week I'm going to be recapping my December trip, but I have refocused the reflection on the December trip about all the new things that I did on that December trip, and I think that would be really useful for people going solo but also just adults going without their kids. So all right, let's get into it. All right. So some of you really love the five love languages. I'm like kind of ambivalent about them. Like they're cool, but it's not like the main way I understand love and relationships. I find it useful, but I also thought it would be really useful to organize the reflection about solo travel to Disney World using those love languages. Because when I kept thinking about like things that just like make my heart so full at Disney, they're so personal that I want to make sure that you can like hear and see yourself in there as well. But I will just start with like a personal story because like it's my podcast. So I'm thinking of things that I do like. Astrology. So if you care about astrology, you'll like this little piece of introduction. So my Venus is a Leo, which means that I really love big, loud, bold expressions of love. And so when I am at Disney, when I feel like very like self-love, romantic, like a big Valentine, it is when, number one, when I walk into my hotel room and I see my name on the TV, I'm just like, yes, like Yes, give me all of that. Give me all of that, like, praise. And also when I am in, like, a big outfit that I put together and I just feel, like, really good and everything is working and my lipstick isn't dripping, my hair isn't moving, and the outfit matches what I wanted it to match and all that stuff, and I just feel like, again, because it's very showy, and for those of you who clocked my hair reference in a Leo, for those of you who don't care about astrology, I'm sorry about that. Um, but like those are the types of things that I just feel like that just feel like a big Valentine from myself to myself, which is kind of nice. But let's talk about some more general things about solo travel and the 5 love languages. So, for those of you who may not know what the 5 love languages are, it is quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, and acts of service. Now, you might automatically know um, ways that your solo trips to Disney kind of fit into some of those categories. And actually, I would love to hear what you have to say about those. Like, I would love to hear the times at Disney when you're there solo and your heart just feels so, so full, like a great big Valentine. One of the great things about the YouTube stream, even though I still haven't fixed the problem, that you can comment on the episodes. So you can go over to YouTube and comment about like just when your heart just feels so, so big and full when you're at Disney, regarding the love languages or not. But let's talk about some of the different love languages and the ways that you might experience this type of love from Disney to you when you're on your solo trip. Number 1, quality time. So if you're at Disney solo, you already are in that quality time, self-love, love language because you have made the decision to take yourself away, to take care of yourself. And that is amazing. It's such a busy world. So people have so many different responsibilities. It's hard in, late stage capitalism to take your time off and really appreciate the time off that you have. So just the fact that you're there, hey there, quality time. Like, hey there, quality time. You have already given yourself like just a big expression of love by being there on your solo travel. However, there are other ways that you can really give yourself the gift of time when you're at Disney. So you could get your lightning lanes for one park or like one ride, the single one, or for multi-pass. Like, definitely, that is a way of getting back some time. If you have the budget for it, you might even do the Premier Pass where you're paying that big extra chunk, but then you don't even need to look at the lightning lane portal. You can skip the line at all of the lines. And that is a really, really great way to take your time back if you are able to afford that. For some of you, making a reservation at a restaurant is a way to like block your time in ways that show love and respect to the way that you understand time. For others, you really love to be able to do like walk-ups at lounges and bars because you want the flexibility of being able to do what you need at your own time and you don't want to be caged in. So again, you do you would be Bobbity Boo. Like, what are the ways that the time you can gift yourself some time? Is it through greater structure or is it through less structure, For some of you, the quality time is to be there from rope drop to final closing of everything. For others of you, this includes me, you're like, oh, I'm not going to go by anybody else's time and clock. I'm going to wake up when I want. I'm going to get to the parks when I want. I'm going to do what I want. If I need a nap, I'm going to take a nap, and I'm going to go to the rhythm that I want. So just remember when you are at Disney solo that you can gift yourself that time, the quality time of that love language, by making choices that fit the best way that you understand time. And our bodies and our minds and our souls are really structured by like capitalist, patriarchal, colonial understandings of time. And so Disney is one of those places where you can really explore different ways of being being in the time and the space. And so like maybe just like forget your phone. Just like do what you want and don't worry about the times of things like, and for some of you, me just saying that has already got you very upset. So again, figure out what the best way of understanding time is for you when you're on your solo trip, and then make sure you give your gift. Make sure you give yourself that gift of quality time, and like speak that back to yourself in a way that you really, really understand that this quality time is a Valentine, a love letter to yourself. The next love language, and they're not in any particular order. I mean, I'm reading from a sheet, so I'm just going to keep that order because you know me and lists while I'm recording. So the next love language is words of affirmation. So number one, you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. Whatever that looks like, that is awesome. But you know how and where I hear words of affirmation? I hear it in just talking to cast members and talking to guests and just interacting with them in a way that's like, oh, look at us all here together, just like really enjoying ourselves. And when I tell people I'm there solo, when they're like, oh, that's intriguing. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's awesome. And then a few times people are like, it does sound awesome. Like, why have I not considered that? So words of affirmation to me are the words and the language and the conversations that we just have at Disney that bring us closer together as a Disney community, and like choosing to become part of that community by talking with people and having conversations with people and saying like, oh, what would you recommend? Or what's your favorite ride? Or when people ask you questions, you just answer them back. Like, I've asked people questions and it's like one word answer and you're like, okay, cool. We're not talking. No problem. And then I've talked to people where they're like, oh yeah, okay, great. And they like tell me all this stuff. And sometimes it's too much, but it's also just nice to like weave it in together. So when I think of like the love language of Disney related to words of affirmation, I just think of all these conversations that we have that bring us closer together, even though we are there by ourselves. But another thing, of course, is like when you wear your birthday button or you wear some sort of celebratory button and then people are like, happy birthday or happy anniversary. Well, I guess anniversary, like a wedding anniversary wouldn't be appropriate for a solo trip, but you know what I mean? Or congratulations on this, or, you know, all those different things. I think that, again, is just a great way to, I want to say validated, but I don't love that word because then that assumes you need to be validated. But like that way you hear the love from the community and you can be reminded by the love from the community based on the things that you are hearing and people are saying to you. For me, that's really, really special. I was at Disney with a partner like 20 years ago and I was in the bathroom and he was outside waiting for me. He was at Hollywood Studios sitting on a bench and I came out and I come from a very long genealogy of people, family members who talk to strangers. It's just in our blood. But my former partner, he wasn't really like that. I mean, he has become more like that the more he has spent time with our family because even though we aren't partners anymore, he's still an integral part of the family. But I come out of the bathroom and he's just like talking to this kid on a bench. And it just seems so weird because that's just not the type of guy he is. And so they're done their conversation and he gets up and he walks away with me and, you know, we go to get the bus or whatever. And I was like, what was that about? And he said that this 12-year-old kid, he just was sitting next to him and he said, so what's your favorite ride? And my former partner was like, sorry, are you talking to me? And he's like, yeah, what's your favorite ride? We just wound up having this big conversation. And again, that's kind of what I'm thinking when I think of words of affirmation and love languages at Disney when you're doing your solo travel. It's just these connections with strangers that, you know, we don't really do in our daily lives. And it does feel safe and fun and very community oriented when you're at Disney. The other words of affirmation that I particularly love is when cast members compliment my outfits. Cast members and guests, but cast members in particular, I always really love that. All right, the next love language is physical touch. So maybe this is a bit of a difficult one, I guess, for people because, touch, I guess all of them really, or touch are such a personal thing. But, I really try to focus on the sensory experience of being in Florida when I'm at Disney solo. And I really like to be able to like touch the palm trees, touch the plants, touch the sand. I like to touch the fake rocks on certain rides. I really like to be able to try to bring the outside world in by experiencing this beautiful bubble that we are in with as many senses as possible. So for me, physical touch does come down to really like actually physically touching these things and like really thinking about the flora and the fauna of Florida. That's a lot of S. But also the like recreated nature of all these different environments and the textures that are there. I also like love to be in the water if I can. So to be able to like really experience like the feeling of the water on your body, because like living in Toronto, I'm not doing outdoor swimming very often, especially not in February. But you might think of the physical sensory experience of Disney in a lot of different ways. Like perhaps there are only clothes that you wear at Disney, so putting them on like makes you feel like you're really there and you're really doing it. Or, like one of the best feelings in the world to me, this isn't actually something I've experienced at Disney, but maybe depending on when you've gone, it has made sense to you. But it's like, uh, this is a very like Southwestern Ontario thing, but I'm sure other people can like experience it. But it's like mid to late summer. So like during the day, it's very hot, it's the summer, but in the evening it starts to get chill so that the fall is coming, and you've been like in the water all day swimming at the lake, and then you just put on a big giant hoodie, and you're just and like maybe a flannel blanket on top of that, and this like blend of different sensations and warm and soft and like all of those things come together. And so maybe you actually have a similar like buffet of physical sensory experiences when you're at Disney because of like the heat. Like I'm just thinking this Florida heat, it doesn't often just like drop so quickly that it would at the lake, for example, in August. But maybe you have a very similar experience. And like, look, I have had the privilege to be able to go multiple times, but if you just think back to like one solo trip you have, like maybe there was something about like the clothes and all that stuff that really work. But also maybe for you, the physical touch of it all, the physical touch love language is not actually bringing the outside in as much as like putting your body in a situation where it wouldn't normally be in, like on a ride, like being able to go on a ride and just like scream and like be whipped around and all of this stuff. Like maybe that is the type of sensory experience, physical sensory experience that to you is just like a love language. But also that physical touch could be just like, yes, I'm going to go and meet some characters and I want a hug from all of them. Like, it's amazing how many adults going solo who I talk to who are just like, gosh, like a Mickey Mouse hug, like a hug from Winnie the Pooh. So think about that love language of physical touch when you're doing your solo trip and like what that might look like and feel like for you to really just really have that Valentine's feeling of like, oh yes, I am here demonstrating love to myself and Disney is demonstrating love back. Is this corny? I don't know. I kind of like love it, but also think it's corny, and I kind of love it because it's corny. So I hope you're coming up with your own suggestions and like, yeah, you're like thinking about all these different elements of your own solo trips a little bit differently with more love, perhaps. All right, so love language number 4 is receiving gifts. So like, yes, merchandise. Yes, merchandise. But not just merchandise, actually. For me, the love The love language of receiving gifts, the love language of receiving gifts and how I think about that related to solo travel at Disney World is number one, I always think of the trip itself as a gift. And it and I just love it so much when I am there and I am doing things that I'm constantly not reminding myself as if I like need a reminder, but I'm just constantly checking in to be like, what a gift this is. Like when I was there a couple weeks ago, how lucky for me, literally every time I turn my face towards the sun, like a sunflower, I thought to myself, what an amazing gift this is. What an amazing opportunity this is. And I just kind of really, really keep that centered. So yes, merchandise for sure, but like not just merchandise. And also, my experience with merchandise at Disney really like ebbs and flows. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff I really want. Sometimes I'm not really that inspired. Sometimes it just feels like there's just too much. And other times, like the best gift, like the best souvenir is like a napkin. And so I really invite you to think about the ways in which the love language of receiving gifts you can think about on your Disney trips in ways that are broader than just like traditional buying merchandise, or like if you are buying merchandise to like you can buy like a t-shirt and a this and a this and a this, and then you can also buy this like one special thing that you're like, ah, yes, this is my souvenir from this trip. On the episode that I did for like New Year's resolutions, and I talk about the hippo I got, right? Like, I've bought a lot of stuff at Disney, but till this day, I still look at this hippo and I'm just like, she is so cute. I love her so much. And it was a type of gift that really did feel like an act of love to myself in a way that I don't even fully understand because I don't, like these aren't really normally things that I collect. So I really invite you to like think about the ways in which you can show love to yourself through the love language of receiving gifts in a way that's like, really centering the specialness of gifts. Now, full disclosure, receiving gifts is one of my love languages, but I have a couple family members who are terrible gift buyers. Like, they are so bad. It's so bad, and it's kind of insulting how bad it is because I'm an excellent gift buyer, a gift giver, that it's like, you know what, it's fine. You don't need to get me that. It's like, oh well, you write, so here's a pen. Here's just like a random pen. Okay, that's great. Versus like, oh, well, I know you do a lot of writing and I saw this like special pen that had this ink that you like or a design that you like. And like there's a way of giving a gift that's just like, here's a gift. And then another one that's like, this is an amalgamation of so many things that I know about you. And I know that this would be a special gift for you. Like, yeah. So I love receiving gifts, but I love receiving gifts in which are really imbued with a lot of meaning. And because again, like I have family members that don't always give me very thoughtful gifts, I go out of my way to like really appreciate these moments on the solo trips where I've made this decision for myself. And what a wonderful gift it is that I have given myself to be here, to do this, to buy this hippo, to eat this food. And so I encourage you to like think of your own expression of this love language when you're at Disney in a way that really taps into like the elements of yourself that are really thoughtful, that you can like bring that back as not even something physical, because just being there could be there, but like a token, a souvenir of this remembrance, right? Souvenir is we remember or I remember. And so it's a token of remembrance. How can you bring that to your solo trip in a way that really feels genuine to how special it is that you're a Disney solo? So if you are thinking about bringing this love language to your own Disney trip, again, think more broadly than just the merchandise of it. Think really about what is it that is like this moment or thing or this object that can really remind you, this souvenir, this reminder of how special it is that you are at Disney Solo and you're doing this for yourself and how awesome that is. All right, our fifth and final love language is acts of service. Now, I do not think it would be a surprise to anybody listening who has listened for a while to know that as a Virgo elder daughter, a daughter of a single mother, that acts of service is my number one love language. and and being at Disney is one of the ways that I get that love infusion, that acts of service, because cast members are there for you. Hotels are there for you. The parks are there for you. Reservations are there for you. First, I just want to say that as I am saying this, like my whole body is like responding of like relaxing. I want to cry because of just like how true that is. And how much I love it. Like, I go to Disney because to me, it is constant acts of service that demonstrate the love that I need in my soul, because it is such a customer guest focused environment that when you are there solo, you don't feel like you're alone because you can really be taken care of by cast members, and not in a way that's like exploitive, of course, but if there's a problem, somebody will fix it for you. If you have preferences, someone will try to accommodate that for you. There are just so many things happening at Disney that is really in service to your experience as a guest. And for me, and again, this should not come as a surprise to anybody who's listened to this podcast, for me, the notion of being at Disney is an act of service to myself because of all the services that are provided by the excellent cast members and the general kind of corporate ethos of Disney. So I'll talk about this on next week's episode, but when I was there in December, I went to a bar lounge for dinner and I ordered a drink from the menu, a non-alcoholic drink, and I took a sip and I was like, there's a weird taste here. And so I asked the bartender, like, so tell me about this drink again. And he told me about the ingredients and I was like, okay. And then he like goes, I take a couple other sips and he comes back and I was like, Edwin, I don't like this. And he was like, no problem. Like, he didn't even ask me what I didn't like about it. He took the drink and he said, what else can I get you? And then I like told him the flavor profiles that I liked and he was like, okay. And then he just starts like going. Like, it's a very complicated drink he made me for basically a non-alcoholic mojito. And I was like, yes, that is what I am interested in. That level of service. That's like, it is no problem to make sure that you are happy. Now, again, the stakes are really low. It's like soda water and fruit puree. Like, nobody's losing money over this. But, in the episode that I did that's just like, just ask, I reminded everyone that like Disney's making so much money that when you are asking these particular things, it doesn't actually lose the money. Whereas if you do that at like your local, bar or restaurant or whatever, then, that might hit their profit and then don't do it there. But at Disney, nobody is counting pennies like that. And so obviously don't take advantage, but it is knowing that that is available to you that for me is such an expression of the acts of service love language. And that is why I go. When I check in at a hotel and I'm like, hey, just checking to see if I can get a room that doesn't face a parking lot. And they're like, yeah, let's see what we can do. Acts of service. When I go to ride a ride and I say, oh, is that the real wait time, or do you think it's a little bit less? And they're like, it's probably a little bit more. Acts of service. When there is a custodial staff that is emptying the garbage that you are currently eating on because you're at a food festival at Epcot, and you're like, oh, let me just move out of the way for you. And they say, oh, it's okay, I'll come back. Acts of service. Like, it's just so, so wonderful because it really, again, it feels like we're all in it together and that this idea of like a guest focused experience is so, so special. Now, maybe acts of service is not as foregrounded in your love languages as it is mine, but there are other ways to think of the love language of acts of service at Disney, even without like asking for things as I do. You can just think of the fact that you're at a hotel in which somebody has cleaned your room, made your bed, prepped your room for you as an act of service. And how wonderful is that? How lucky are you? How wonderful it is to be able to afford to go to a hotel in which those services are provided. You can also just really appreciate the service of people cooking your food and bringing it out and having prepared for you. And like how wonderful to have these acts of service, to have all of the cast members, the frontline cast members that are greeting you and ensuring that you're having a good time, but also the behind the scenes cast members ensuring that things are clean and safe and literally well oiled for you to have a really great trip. Like to be able to walk through Disney and think about how many people have created this particular experience you are currently having is such a wonderful, wonderful acts of service to you. And that to like, bring that to you and remember it and like have that as a deep part of your solo experience is such a wonderful reminder and love letter for you about you being there and what this Disney solo trip is providing for you. But you can also think of acts of service as acts of service that you provide to others. So, I always love talking with people, and if I can provide them some advice or point them like literally in the right direction, like that's wonderful. That's this really great act of service. If you, I don't know when it was now. Maybe last spring, maybe it was a year ago now, I did an episode that was like a little story of anxiety. And I said, God, I just couldn't shake the anxiety. And one of the things when I started walking and moving, the first thing I did was like help people that looked lost. And it got me out of my own anxiety, right? So you can also think of yourself as providing services at Disney and using that as a love letter to the community that you're there a part of, even though you're there solo. All right, so we've gone through the 5 love languages. I do think that that trips to Disney, solo trips to Disney, are a real love letter, a real Valentine to yourself, and you can really remember that and ground yourself in it when you use something like the love languages or astrology to pull things out to like ensure that you're like how do I want to say this, like to ensure that you're really focused, that you're pinpointing on these particular things. Like when I see parents at Disney with the toddlers and the crying and all of this, and I'm just like, God, it's so hard for them to really enjoy themselves there, like enjoy themselves with their children and enjoy all this because it is so overwhelming and it is so loud and there's so many different sensory things happening and it's just hard. I can imagine there comes a point where you're just like, oh, I'm just like getting through the motions to get to the end of the day and then starting the next day. And, like really not being there now becomes a chore. To quote Modern Family, when they were all in Hawaii and Claire Dunphy says, I'm a mother on a trip with her children. This isn't a vacation. It's a working holiday or like a work trip, And so when you're there solo, you can just kind of get into the flow of things and not like check in to just like be like, whoa, this is amazing what I am doing. And so you could use the love languages to like remind yourself what a love letter that you're giving yourself to go and be there as well. Now, I want to end this episode. Last year, especially at the beginning of the year, I did a whole bunch of episodes, again, go back to the archives, in which I was like, how to bring the different festivals into your daily life. And so I did one on Festival of the Arts. And so I just want to end this episode by saying that, like, even if you don't have a solo trip planned right away, imminently, you can bring some of this like self-love, love languages at Disney solo that's a mouthful, to your daily life as well. So I just want to go through those really quickly. And so I started with quality time, and we'll start again with quality time. So if you're at home, you can bring some of this Disney solo magic to some quality time by doing something such as like watching a Disney movie without your phone and just like focusing on the artwork or the music or the plot lines or your own memories. One thing I've talked about a couple times is that I used to do, well, I guess I still do, on the elliptical or the treadmill. I used to watch virtual run videos of different places, but I would do Disney. I felt particularly like nostalgic for it. And so you could do something like that by really focusing a certain amount of time on like virtually, quote unquote, walking through the parks and kind of bringing like being present with that quality time so that you can kind of try to get some of that magic even though you're on a treadmill, for example. Words of affirmation. So I I have a couple quotes around my desk that remind me of certain Disney characters. Alice in Wonderland, Mary Poppins, Cinderella. And so words of affirmation like connect with characters or people or cast members or podcasters. I mean, I don't know why I said it like that. That'd be kind of weird. I mean, cool if you did it for me, but I don't want to put myself on the same um, the same vein as the Cinderella script, for example, and use it, like write those words down or type them out or put them somewhere or put them on your phone so that you can use it again as a form of meditation to like remind yourself like who you are, what you stand for, what you want, and to inspire you to be like the best, most magical solo self that you are. You can also do that with like a playlist of, empowering Disney songs if you wanted to. Physical touch. So, I I think that spirit jerseys look terrible on me. Like they don't work for my body shape. And I have a couple though. And so sometimes when I'm feeling like particularly Disney nostalgic, I'll wear a spirit jersey at home during the day when I'm working. Again, I'm associating physical touch with like clothing, especially during like tough meetings. I'll use one of my Disney mugs. So when I'm touching it, I'm like connecting back to the Disney magic. So what is something that's like physical touch, like a tactile thing that reminds you of Disney? And bring it into your daily life when you need it. I think that is a cool way to just literal touch points that can bring you back to the magic that you feel at Disney, that you want to feel at Disney, that you're trying to build in your daily life. Like, it's so, yes, Disney trips all the time, obviously, but they're expensive. Not everyone can do them. And it's important that we're not just separating. And this is something that I'm working on so much. Like it's one of those things that I am constantly thinking about in my daily life. It's like a therapy thing, right? Like this is a bigger thing about my own life, but how can I bring as much of that Disney magic from my solo trips into my daily life? What are ways that I can do it consciously and subconsciously, but like consciously and purposefully, and something like, again, bringing these things that you can touch and feel and this tactile experience of certain Disney things is a way to do that. Receiving gifts. Okay, look, it is easy to start collecting things like pins or trash cans or figurines or Funko Pops. I have quite a few Funko Pops these days. It is so easy to start one of these collections that is going to take a lot of your money. And if you have money to spare on that, that's cool. If you don't, also, that's cool. Whatever, you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. But I also really encourage you to think of gifts in broader, perhaps like slightly less not materialistic. That makes me sound judgy to you. I'm judgy to capitalism. But like, could you have a special gift of like a meal, for example? Like I had a really great sirloin. at the American Pavilion when I was there a couple weeks ago. Like, I could give myself a gift to like buying a really nice cut of beef and making that for dinner, or going out to a nice restaurant to be able to enjoy that as well. I also have been like collecting and really paying attention to all the different souvenirs that I've gotten at Disney over the years, like the food festival passports, for example. And rather than think of them as like a free thing that I picked up, like how could I use them as a representation of this gift of a trip? Another way you could do like receiving gifts when you're at home is to print out pictures from your trip and like frame them, you know? And so there are ways to do the receiving and giving of gifts to yourself that is more than just, again, no judgment if if you do this, that's more than just collecting something for the sake of collecting something. Or maybe you start a collection, but it's like, something really specific and really like really special, and that you'd only get it like once a quarter or once a year, like think about all these different ways that you can really get quality memories and like a bang for your buck for like the quality of memories, not just quantity of things that you can collect. Although, again, if that is what you want to do, you do you. Another way of like the receiving gifts is also just giving gifts. So maybe you have this giant collection of Disney X, Y, and Z, and one of the ways you want to like show and receive love is to donate them to people that might not have a giant Disney collection. There are a lot of ways that gifting part of it can be part of the way you experience Disney solo magic at home, but it's also really easy to fall into the consumerism of it, and that is not necessarily the way to receive and feel the love back. In some ways, consumerism and capitalism is the opposite of love. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. Okay, and the last one is acts of service. Yes, well, you might not be waking up with mousekeeping, cleaning up your room every day, but maybe you get like a really special linen spray, and maybe you get some different sheets. And yes, you have to make your own bed and you have to do this, but there are ways that you can really create kind of a hotel experience in your own bedroom if you wanted to. And then think of like your fairy godmother setting that up for you as the one providing service. But the acts of service to yourself can also be like going to see a Disney movie, or connecting with a Disney friend, or like what is it that you can do in your life that makes your life a little bit easier, maybe a little bit more structured, and be inspired by Disney. Like obviously this is a touchy one for me, but like be inspired by Disney to see the ways that that this could be brought into your life in really special ways. So 2 years ago, I did club level at the Coronado with my mom, and in the middle of the afternoon, they wouldn't have like a lunch, but they would put out Uncrustables and carrots and celery, and then some homemade ranch and also a hummus. And okay, I think Uncrustables are like the stupidest things ever, right? Like talking about capitalism, like they're so ridiculously stupid, but also like kind of delicious and very convenient. So a couple months ago, I was at the grocery store and I was feeling just like I was having like a bad day. I was having a bad week. I was feeling a lot of anxiety about some things happening at work. And I was in the grocery store and I saw Uncrustables in the frozen aisle. And I just immediately thought of Disney. And I immediately thought of being at the Coronado Hotel in the middle of the afternoon and having this buffet of Uncrustables and carrots and celery and dip all laid out. And I was like, I could do that for myself. I could do that for myself. So I bought a box of Uncrustables, and I've bought other boxes since because I did quite like it. And I have my baby carrots, and I have like the different dips, and I just kind of set it up in my fridge. So in the middle of the day when I was working and I needed a snack, or I haven't really had a full lunch yet, I would go into my kitchen and I would open up the fridge and like, oh, hey there, acts of service. There's my like Coronado Club Service buffet. I loved it. I also, again, like inspired by my trips, I like to try different types of sodas and things like that. And if I open one and I don't really like it, like I just don't force myself, I'm just like, it's okay, Samantha. Like, you know what you like. You can like take care of yourself in this way. And so it's like all these different things that just remind me of Disney. And another act of service that I do at home or in my daily life that's inspired by my solo trips is I really embrace my Disney solo trips, but I don't apologize for them anymore or like make them smaller anymore. I realize like how important it is for my own like nervous system regulation. And I just think to myself when I do feel very dysregulated or anxious or, all the different things like, okay, how do I feel at Disney? And like, let's get back to that actual place. And all of this is, again, it's a love language to myself, but it is a love language that, like Disney has showed me I can do for myself because of the solo trips. And that is what I wish for you this Valentine's Day as well, solos. So again, on YouTube, go and like tell me what love language acts that you think of both at home and in the Disney parks that can bring some of your Disney solo magic to your trips, but also at home. Like, it's kind of fun to do this episode, so I hope you enjoyed it. And next episode, I'm going to talk about my December trip and all of the new things that I did, including a solo painting class, which seems really cringy, but actually was talk about love languages. It actually fit all 5 of the love languages, which was actually pretty cool now that I think about it. So stick around next week for that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share so you know when it's coming out. Bye. Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you like this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. This 2026, consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon member. Your Patreon membership helps offset the cost of running the podcast, but also creates a little fund for me to try new things when I'm at Disney Solo and tell you all about them when I get back. Patreon members get a reflection after every episode, and that is like a mini episode in and of itself where I give you some behind the scenes stuff that I don't want on the public feed. Thank you again for listening. Please make sure you also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Please make sure you subscribe, like, review, share on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.